Welcome back, everybody, to the Wingspan Invitational Knockout Games. I don't remember if we actually said that title.
I think we did, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, this is the second video, or maybe the third or something. We don't really know, but we're going to be going over the white and no power birds. If you don't know what we're doing here, we made a March Madness style giant bracket for the birds in Wingspan, including both of the expansions. And we're going through just kind of discussing them subjectively. We've tried to choose representatives of each category, so we don't want to have too many super similar birds on here. So even though there are birds that are clearly more powerful than some of the ones we put on here, at least in our opinions, we decided to leave them out by just choosing whatever we thought was the best representative of each kind of category of bird we wanted.
They're like the mid-major schools. They're like your Harvard, who shouldn't really be in the tournament, but you know, they're there in spirit. So.
Yeah. So. With that in mind, I think we can get right into the discussion where we go through each bird. Oh, by the way, the tie-break system, there's two of us. We each get one vote, basically. So if we're ever in disagreement, we're going to call in one of our parents who have played the majority of the Wingspan games we've played as well, so they're qualified to make a tie-break decision. If you want to hear more about us, go check out the first video. You should really check that one out before this. We do a much broader overview of everything we think about Wingspan and how we're making these decisions and stuff.
And that video is going to be a lot longer than this video.
Yes.
The white and no power should not take us too long to get through. There's just not as much they can do since they have pretty much no power, or they just give a very small benefit compared to the brown powers, which have longer lasting benefits. So without further ado, why don't we get into this first matchup here, which is the American Woodcock versus the California Condor. And of course, when we say American Woodcock, you have to go. That's the sound it makes.
If you don't know, there's an app that you can get called Wingsong, and you can scan the cards and it'll play the noise the bird makes. The woodcock has one of the best sounds.
I'm calling both of these kind of like 16 seeds. These are not great birds. I guess they deserve to be in the tournament, but both of these are not great birds. And again, we drew these at random, so we didn't seed them like 1 versus 16 or like March Madness would do, but we just drew the matchups at random. In my opinion, this would be a 16 versus a 16 matchup.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think California Condor especially suffers a bit from being in Oceania, where food is so plentiful. Like in the base game, sometimes having that no food cost means you can play it when you otherwise couldn't play.
Yeah, and so maybe we should discuss it first. Like Andrew's saying, the California Condor can live in any habitat. That's pretty nice. And it has no food cost, so you can just play it for free. It's a condor. It's a scavenger. You can play it for free.
It still costs eggs.
It does cost the egg. It does have that egg cost, which is a downside. It's only 1 point, another downside.
Yeah, so that means if you're paying any eggs for it, it's worth zero or negative points to begin with. So it's a little sketchy, but...
And it draws you 2 bonus cards, which is...
You keep one.
Yeah. And you keep one. And I mean, what, a bonus card's going to be maximum maybe 8 points?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you could get way luckier, but rarely.
Yeah.
And I'd say the expected value is probably like 4 points.
5, yeah.
Depends how early in the game it is. Maybe you can build around it, but...
So really, I'm going to say this bird maybe doesn't even deserve to be on this board.
It made it because it's kind of unique.
It's unique. It's worth the discussion. But the woodcock, on the other hand, the American woodcock can live in the middle row, can live in the top row.
It's 9 points.
It's just 9 points. It's 9 points. Which, if you listen to what we said here, this one's maximum, 8 points maybe?
Well...
I mean, it can be maximum.
They're equal on a maximum draw.
Sure,
this is 8 plus the 1. This is 9 points. You still have to subtract egg costs from everything, so we should include that.
Right.
But they're pretty much equal at maximum. Obviously, if you play the Condor and you get the 8-point bonus card, you're happy because you didn't have to spend any food.
It's just most of the time you're only getting 4 to 5 points from this.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to discuss this any further.
Woodcock.
The American woodcock moves on to the next round.
All right. I don't know where the pen. Oh, there it is.
You found it.
Oh, you're the pen guy.
I get to be the pen guy.
All right.
I get to do this.
Cool. So while Jake's writing that, I will go ahead and introduce our next round. The Great Egret versus the Kia. So these are both very different birds. The Great Egret is the representative of this type of bird where it lets you play another bird. So the Great Egret costs 2 fish and a rat. It's 7 points. And when you play a second bird in your water row paying its normal cost.
We'll get into that in a second, but the Kia, just its competition. Actually, our first bird with nectar in its cost. Can live in the middle row or the top row. And that's less important with these birds since...
Yeah, you just want to play them in whatever row you're not playing in. So that actually is a little bit important. The fact that the Great Egret...
middle row, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that the Great Egret doesn't play anywhere but the bottom row means
that's what I was going to say.
It's going to be gated out of some strategies.
Yes. And I actually think that's a big negative for me, who I like to create those good bottom rows. I'm putting an egret in my bottom row. That's one bird slot that I feel like is just being taken up by a 7-point bird, which is good, but in my opinion, that's kind of hurting my bottom row.
So for me, the great egret is so strong when you're playing not in the bottom row.
Yeah, it's definitely strong.
I think for me, it wins this competition, this matchup easily, actually.
I am not going to agree with that at all. I would much rather have the Kia, which I didn't even discuss the benefit of the Kia, which is draw one bonus card. You get to look at that one bonus card. Immediately, you could be like, oh, this is a great bonus card for me. Put it down, lock it in. However, if it's a bad bonus card, now you can discard any number of food from your supply to draw that many more bonus cards. So if you're one of those pantries where you're just hoarding food, you can pretty much go like, I want 6 bonus cards and get those 8 points.
But if you're hoarding food, you want the great egret, not the Kia, in my opinion.
Really? I'm taking the Kia. I think it's just more points.
So it is more points as a bird, but this adds its points to whatever else you have. This is just adding pure points on top of something else. So if you have something else that's powerful, you're just getting this on top. It's free. You just get these points for free.
Your strategy bases it on having that other bird. You still have to get that other bird.
Yeah, but if you don't have another good bird, are you going to win the game?
I mean, with a Kia, you've got a good bird, in my opinion. This is a good bird. I think the Kia is a good bird on its own, whereas this relies on you having a second already good bird. And if you're playing this in the water row, you probably haven't developed your water row. If you're playing this, you're probably playing it to develop your water row. So
I'm never playing this to develop my water row. I'm playing this exclusively when my bottom row is a dump row.
Exactly. So if it's a dump row, you're probably not drawing a lot of good cards. So pairing that with a good card, in my opinion, is going to be harder to do. In my opinion, I'm taking the Kia. It sounds like you're taking the great egret.
The greedy egret.
The greedy egret.
No regrets.
No regrets. I'm going to have some regrets if I lose another tiebreaker. All right, let's call in our tiebreaker. Our tiebreaker for today is going to be our dad this time. He's going to officiate the left side of our bracket. So let's call him in and see what his opinion is on the great egret versus the Kia.
All right, everybody. Here he is, our dad, our tiebreaker for the evening. How are you doing?
I'm great. I just want to know, where is Larry on this chart? Larry Bird.
Is this a reference of? Oh my
Larry
God.
Bird. He's the NCAA champion. Goes this. Come on now, where is he?
All right, listen up.
Hey, I just gotta throw that in there. He was in the Final Four. So.
That makes sense. That's a good joke. Okay. I didn't understand it at first.
Okay.
Jake and I have disagreed on these birds. One of them's got to win. I'm going to have you take a look at those. You got the great egret versus the Kia. I'm not going to say anything to influence your choice. Whatever you choose is the winner.
I mean, I'm just doing a quick analysis. The great egret, it's a 7-point bird. It's a good amount of points, and it gets you a second bird to play in your bottom row. The Kia can be played in a couple different rows, so that's kind of an advantage. You can draw one bonus card and discard food. It depends on how much food you have. I'd have to go with the great egret, I think.
Okay.
As my choice. I think that gives you a little bit more possibilities of getting more points, especially depending on when you played in the game. So,
all right.
That would be my choice, the great egret.
Andrew wins again. Oh, Jake turns off the light. He's mad.
I'm 0 for 4 on tiebreakers now. This is absolutely ridiculous. Andrew must be feeding them information as he goes out there. I don't know what you're paying him, Andrew.
Jake, you made the light get dimmer. What have you done?
It's your great egret. It's just a dim pick.
All right, what's up next? Roseate Spoonbill versus Blythe's Hornbill. Hey, they're both bills.
I'm still recovering. Yeah, that's 0 for 4 in 2 videos.
Yeah, it'll get better maybe at some point for you.
It won't. All right, let's move on. What do we got here? Roseate Spoonbill versus Blythe's Hornbill.
The real question with these is, do you like Blythe or Roseate? And do you like horns or spoons?
Is that really the question here?
Yeah, that's the only.
Absolutely different.
They're identical, other than that.
How do I lose these tiebreakers? Talking to this guy. Okay. The Roseate Spoonbill, pretty simple. 6 points, can only be played in the bottom row, and it just draws you 2 bonus cards, and you get to keep one of them. It's a pretty strong bird. If you're not doing a bottom row strategy where you need to have more valuable birds down there, this is a pretty strong bird to just play down there.
Blythe's Hornbill. is only top row. It costs 3 fruit. And when played, you discard all eggs from one of your other birds. Well, one of your birds, but you obviously won't have any eggs on this when it's played. With a cavity nest, and then you tuck twice that many cards from the deck behind this bird. So, first of all, 3 fruit cost. This is the most expensive bird in terms of food cost.
That's the
in
hardest
the entire
one.
game.
Yeah, hardest to get for sure.
Yeah, because nectar and fruit share a die face, so that's the only way you can get fruit. You can get fruit or nectar. Whereas everything else has at least one other face on the die where you can take that food in addition to getting it from nectar. So fruit is the hardest food to get with the Oceania expansion. So this is the hardest food cost in the game. And the ability sounds a little bit stronger, I think, than it is. Not to say it's bad. You can get a lot of points out of this thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad bird, but I think what you're about to say is that, first of all, you're losing eggs off of this. You're losing some valuable eggs. Second, you have to have a cavity nest that has a bunch of eggs on it.
Which isn't that hard to do,
it's not hard to do,
there's quite a few of them.
That's true. It's not hard to do, but it's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm drawing 2 bonus cards and
Right.
just to keep one.
Yes, so the thing that's a little bit tricky about this is you're losing eggs. That's points, and it's also like you need eggs to do stuff. So in order to get this to work really well, you need to have a lot of eggs, and hopefully you'll have some eggs after playing this, otherwise you're getting rid of your eggs for the game.
You need to get the right amount of food, which is a little easier said than done, actually.
And yeah, so what I'll say about this is a really good bird if you have like a raven or something.
Yeah.
And you're playing in your middle row, and you're just like, you got a lot of eggs to go around, and you have enough food to pay for it because of the raven. And it can work in other strategies. Like there are times when you will play this, it's a strong bird, definitely strong enough to be in the tournament, but I don't think it beats the Roseate.
No, I'm taking the Roseate Spoonbill as well. I think it's just easier to play, and it'll get you probably the same amount of points
or more,
or possibly more than this.
Like the most this will get you is 13.
13, yeah.
That could get you 14 if
14
you get that.
depending.
And you're almost never going to get 13 out of this.
Yeah. So I think we're in agreement. Roseate Spoonbill moves on to the round of 32.
All right. What's next? Bald eagle versus whooping crane. So these are both water row birds. And they're both just like high point birds, as a lot of these white and no power birds are going to be. Whooping crane has the food cost of 3 of anything, and the bald eagle has 2 fish and a rat.
But it does kind of get you back a little something.
Yes, so they're kind of comparable in food cost. Then I guess you could say.
I'd say this one.
Yeah, that one's easier, but. Because you gotta get the food in the first place.
Right.
But the bald eagle gives you probably 1 fish back.
Because the bald eagle, I don't know if you said it, but his ability is when you play him, you get all the fish in the bird feeder. So usually that's 1 or 2 fish. You're really not getting more than that usually. So I guess you just get a little bit of the cost of playing him back.
Yeah.
So he's better than a normal 9-point, but he's better than like the woodcock, but he's still not great in my I'm definitely playing him. If I get him, I'm almost usually always playing him. But if I'm comparing him to a whooping crane to me, just more points, easier to play.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a contest.
I think the whooping crane wins easily. Also works with the omnivore. Although the fish eating objective is another one that I like a lot.
That's fair,
but yeah, and like the fact that it gives you food back for the bald eagle. In the strategies where you're playing the bald eagle, you usually have plenty of food.
Plenty of food.
So. Whooping crane,
no more need for discussion, just a solid bird. Very similar to the Roseate Spoonbill that we just talked about. So whooping crane, we're in agreement. Whooping crane moves on to the next round.
A lot of these matchups feel kind of similar because a lot of these birds are kind of similar. They all do nothing. We've got the wood stork versus the red knot next. For a long time, I thought that the red knot was like the most powerful bird in the game.
Well, that's not accurate.
I definitely was wrong about that. Yeah, so red knot costs 3 grubs. 7 points, and when you play it, you just get 1 new bonus card, and then you draw 3 bird cards, and you keep 1 of them. It's worth noting that when you draw the 3 cards, they can come from anywhere, because it's just drawing cards, so you can draw from the deck or the tray. I think it's kind of like, intuitively, you might read that as like, draw 3 from the deck and keep 1. But no, if there's a card in the tray you want, you can use the red knot to draw that card. And just draw 2 others from the deck with it, and maybe you'll like one of those even more.
Yeah, so definitely a strong bird.
And 7 points plus a bonus card is
good.
High.
Very good.
That's a lot of points, but it's only 1 bonus card, and
it's a little sketchy there, but
it whiffs more often than you might think.
You would like it to, but I still think it's pretty strong.
I mean, at worst, it's 7 points.
Yeah, it's 7 point and card draw. It gets you one
Yes.
card that you might want to draw. So still definitely a good bird no matter what. And the wood stork's just very similar to roseate spoonbill or the wood stork that we just talked about. Good bird, but are you in agreement with me that I'm going to give this to the frayed knot or the red knot? We like to call it frayed knot.
I actually don't know. I was on the fence. I think I can agree with you on that.
I like the card draw. I like the card draw that even if I'm whiffing on the bonus card, I'm still drawing into usually a card that I like or that I want to play with this card.
And the thing about both of these is they both fit better with like your top row strategy.
Right.
And in the top row strategy, you're often starved for cards unless you have like one of the few very powerful birds that gets you cards.
Definitely.
So with that in mind, I think I would agree with that the red knot is better.
All right, we're in agreement there.
I think it's really close.
Well, yeah, it's close. Like they're very similar birds and they're very similar amounts of points, but I'm taking the card draw plus the bonus card rather than just 2 bonus cards.
It also depends on when in the game. Late in the game, I think I'd take the stork. Early in the game, the red knot, you can more of a chance to build around whatever bonus card you draw. The Eurasian turtle dove versus the black-tailed godwit. Black-tailed godwit is like the red knot, but worse. It's literally just a point less. Slightly easier food cost, I guess, because it costs a wheat instead of a grub on one of those. But other than that, it's basically identical to the red knot. Has the same egg, nest type and the same amount of egg space, and it has the same ability, so it's just 1 point less. Obviously, if these two end up in a match, I think we know what's going to win that. But let's talk about the turtle dove.
Yeah, the turtle dove is kind of nice because you can play him anywhere. He can live anywhere. Pretty easy food cost, 2 wheat. Really easy to play. 4 points, so really 2 points less than the godwit. But if you look at it, his ability can get you an egg. So that egg is really going to push him up to 5 points.
Yeah, and if you lay it on a cavity nest, Blythe's hornbill can turn it directly into 2 points.
Yeah. But yeah, really, they're close in point value, and this guy gives you more flexibility because he could also draw you that card. He could also get you something from the bird feeder as well, and he's getting you 1 bonus card. So they're both getting you 1 bonus card. This guy gives you a little bit extra. He's giving you card draw. He's giving you the flexibility of card draw, egg draw, or food draw. And he's giving you the flexibility to play him anywhere. I like the fact that I can play him in my middle row where I'm probably not playing a lot of birds. In my opinion, I'm giving this actually to the Eurasian turtle dove, despite the slightly less point value. I don't know, you might disagree with me, but I would give it to the turtle dove.
I think I want to give it to the godwit. But then we're going to have the godwit versus red knot matchup, and that's just not interesting. So let's give it to the turtle dove.
Well, I think the other thing to be said about the turtle dove is you can play it and then get that egg, which could allow you to play another bird. So I'm firmly on the side that this turtle dove is actually better than the black-tailed godwit.
That's interesting. I don't know. I feel like the point difference just isn't quite made up by that.
Well, it's only a 1 point difference.
But if you take the 1 point, you're not getting the card out of the turtle dove. So,
but how valuable is that?
It's
card.
It's 1 point and a card that's your choice of 3 cards. So I feel like they're very close for me. I'm happy to give it to the turtle dove just because it's going to be a more interesting matchup. But I think if it were just me, I would have picked the godwit.
I'm taking the Eurasian turtle dove either way. I'm not looking for the interesting matchup. If I thought the black-tailed godwit was better, I would have picked the black-tailed godwit. But
I'm fine with that. I think they're very,
they're
very
close. Yeah, a lot of these white power birds are very close. But I'm going to give it to the Eurasian turtle dove.
All right.
And move on to our next matchup.
Next up, we've got the North Island brown kiwi versus the Eastern bluebird. I guess I lied earlier when I said that the great egret was our only play another bird. We actually have the Eastern bluebird. They end up being pretty different in practice because the Eastern bluebird plays a second bird in your middle row.
Yeah, the row you don't want to be playing in.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
but it's the row you want to be dumping cards in.
Sure. So if you go this guy into this North Island kiwi, sure, that's not a bad thing.
I feel like that actually is better, makes it better in that respect than the great egret.
You're still losing 3 points.
Yes,
on that. I mean, and we're not comparing these two birds.
Yeah,
so
I'm not saying it's a better card, but I am saying I think that it plays in a better row than the great egret.
I can agree with that. I didn't like the great egret anyways, but
anyway, that's not what the comparison is. We're
is.
talking about the North Island brown kiwi here. 6 points, star nest, and when it's played, you discard a bonus card, and then you draw 4 and keep 2. Straight away, that's strong. Yeah,
strong.
It lets you get rid of a bad bonus card and pick up a good one. It's awkward for me because typically I want to be building around whatever I have at the start, and so if I pick this up, it's oh no, I just have It's a hard decision to make whether you want to get rid of your original by playing this.
True, but it is still getting you an additional one
right.
in addition to
it's
that.
almost always going to be worth it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it hurts.
But also Star Nest Plus,
yes,
any Wingspan you want as well, that's also very strong.
I don't think there's much of a comparison between these two. I think that
for sure.
the
I'm
North Island
taking
Brown Kiwi wins easy.
I'm taking the mole. We call him the mole.
Yeah.
I'm taking the mole because he looks like a mole. So yeah, Monty is moving on to the next round. I just named him Monty.
Yeah,
Monty moves
I think
on.
it wins easily, but I think this is a kind of awkward bird that I don't actually like that much. All right, next up is the Ryebill versus the Trumpeter Swan. Trumpeter Swan is just a 9-point bird that goes in your bottom row. This might be we called the American Woodcock the 16 seed. This might be worse because it plays in your bottom row, whereas the Woodcock can play in the middle. And then we've got the Ryebill, 4 points. When played, you look through all the discarded bonus cards and keep one of them. There's a lot to say about that. I'd say typically, you look through a lot of cards, you're going to find a good one.
Yeah.
You can make the argument that they're the ones people don't want, because some bonus cards are just worse than others.
But if they're ones that other people don't want, then usually your strategy might be different than somebody else's strategy, so you might actually want those.
I think in general there's enough of them that even though some people are going to be getting rid of bad cards like the
less than 4 points,
less than 4
lay
points or whatever.
4 eggs.
So there's going to be a number of those in there, but you're also if you're playing a game with enough people, maybe in a 2-player game this isn't as good, but
we've never played a 2-player game before, so we're basing these on 3 players and up, and I like the Ryebill. I think it's a good bird.
I think Rybill's good.
It's only 4 points, so that's a little bit of a downside, but
most of the time you can get at least 6 points from your bonus cards, which just makes it better on the Trumpeter Swan.
Absolutely. I'm in agreement with that.
All right.
Easier food costs, so
Ryebill it is.
Ryebill.
That brings us to what is it? The
American Egret.
The 32. Do we have a fancy name for the top 32?
We don't.
All right.
So we got the American Woodcock versus the Great Egret in the round of 32 here. Good Lord, I guess I gotta pick a Great Egret.
Yeah, it's an obvious winner here.
Because of its competition being the American Woodcock.
The Great Egret is a bird that adds 6 points at least to another bird. Or 6 or 5 or 6 points to another bird. The American Woodcock's just 9 points on its own, which is gonna any bird you add 5 or 6 points to, it's gonna be better than that most of the time.
I mean we're in agreement.
Easy
the Great Egret easily advances over it, but I'm still not a huge fan of the Great Egret.
I'm a huge fan.
I know Andrew likes the Great Egret. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do like it more than the American Woodcock. Although if I get the American Woodcock, and I have room for it, I'm going to play it. It's 9 points, so it's not a terrible bird, but it is in this tournament. It's just one of the lower seeds in this tournament.
Yes.
So we're in agreement. Great Egret moves on to the whatever round that is, Eagle Lead 8 or something like that.
No, not yet.
Oh yeah, we're still at the sweets.
All right, the Whooping Crane versus the Roseate Spoonbill is our next matchup. And this is one of our most similar matchups. They are both 3 food cost birds, 6 points, with the same ability of drawing 2 bonus cards and keeping 1.
So we're going to pick the easier food cost.
Yeah, the only other differentiator here is that the Roseate Spoonbill can lay 1 more egg, but if you've watched our last video, we don't value egg laying that much in Oceania, so that's hardly a difference at all.
So I'm taking the easier food costs, 3 of any food, easy to play.
Yep.
The Whooping Crane, whoop, whoop, whoop. He's on to the round of 16, the Sweet 16, which doesn't have a cool name.
All right, next up is Red Knot versus European Turtle Dove. Last time you gave this to European Turtle Dove over the Red Knot's cousin, the Black-tailed Godwit, who is Red Knot but worse. Which one do you give it to for the European Turtle Dove versus Red Knot, but actually Red Knot?
And we're going to disagree on this again because I would give it to the European Turtle Dove because I think that flexibility to be able to play this in the middle row, the fact that it's only 2 wheat, the fact that I can get an egg off of this, or at least have the option to get an egg versus a card, I have that choice. I think just having the more flexible bird here, to me, does make up for the point difference. I know Andrew's going to probably disagree with me.
I'm going to choose the Red Knot this time, and we're going to have to go to a tiebreaker here. I just think that it's enough extra points. Now we're talking basically 2 points plus a card difference, roughly. So that is flexibility worth 2 points in a card to you? I guess it is.
To me it is. I can see how maybe it wouldn't be, but I'm not going to be mad if either one of these moves on. I can't win a tiebreaker, so we might as well just put the Red Knot in right now.
but we'll get our tiebreaker.
Let's go on. and see what our dad has to say. All right, we got Dad back with us now, and again, we came to another fork in the road. We both disagreed on this. Again, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to hand you the cards and let you make the decision between the red knot and the European turtle dove.
Okay, so they both have similar features in terms of when you play them, they're an immediate play and you get to draw a bonus card, and then there's other things that you get to do. I would have to go with the, in this case, I like the idea of being able to draw a lot of cards, especially if you're playing in the bottom row. So plus the red knot gets you a few extra points in there. So I'm going to favor the red knot. You get 7 points versus 4 points, and you also get to draw 3 cards and keep one of them. So you get to you get to get a little bit more choices that you can play with. So I would go with the red knot.
Of course he would. That makes me 0 for 5. At this point, I think it's just rigged. The turtle dove I do think is a good card, and it's pretty easy to play, pretty versatile. So I think they're pretty close, and we'll call you back if we have any other tie-breaking needs.
You can't go wrong with either, but that's my favorite.
What's up next? North Island brown kiwi versus rival? Rival? Why did I say it like that?
Does it really matter? Just pull whatever bird you want to go on.
All right. I actually don't know which one of these I want. This is a tough call for me. Obviously, the North Island brown kiwi is 2 more points. It's got a better nest type. Less egg space, which actually does matter when you're talking about, like, having only 1 egg space makes the fact that it's a star not quite as good, because, like, maybe somebody else has, like, the pileated woodpecker, and it's, like, lay an egg on this type of nest, and that's your only one. You're kind of unhappy about it having so little egg space, but overall, I mean...
It has any wingspan, too, so that's not bad. And it's a good base value of points of 6 points.
Yeah.
And it is, I'd rather play these cards, these types of white cards, I'd rather play them in the middle row, to be honest with you. So I think it does have that going for it as well.
Yeah, the rye bill, looking through the discards, you're generally going to get a choice of more cards. And you don't have to get rid of the one that you might have built around already. So it's really close for me.
It's close. I'm giving it to the North Island. I'm giving it to Monty. Once again, I like his star nest. I like his wingspan of anything you want it to be, and I like that you can play him in the middle row. Sounds like we're in agreement on this one. North Island brown kiwi. Monty moves on to the Eagle Elite 8.
All right, next up in the Eagle Elite 8, we've got the Great Eaglet, it's just an egret, versus the Whooping Crane. I'm curious about how this one's gonna go. I have a feeling we're gonna tie, and I also have a feeling you're gonna win the tiebreaker for the first time.
That'd be different.
So, Whooping Crane is just a lot of points. Great Egret is a lot of points on top of something else. What's your pick?
I'm picking the Whooping Crane. I like the food cost, easy to play, and like you said, it's just a lot of points. And if I'm playing this Great Egret, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm getting. I guess I don't feel like I'm getting as much out of the second card as you are putting value on it.
I guess for me, it feels like the Great Egret is just like free points, whereas the Whooping Crane is like I have to spend a whole turn getting these points. But, so it's like no matter what I have going on, the Great Egret just fits on top of it. And it's like I don't have to spend an extra turn more than I was already planning to do. It's not like I draw this card and it's like, okay, now I have to plan an extra turn in my game to play that.
True, but you do have to have a card that's paired with the Great Egret for it to be
and
a viable
I'm just assuming
strategy.
that if you're playing the strategy where you want to play either of these, you already have that.
Sure, but if all you have to do is get this one bird and you can play it.
Yeah, I'm going with the Great Egret.
I know you're going with the Great Egret. I don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that the Great Egret is a bad bird. I'm just saying I would prefer to just be able to have the known quantity of the Whooping Crane in my hand and be able to play the Whooping Crane at any point during my game. Whereas with the Great Egret, I feel like you have to have a few more things go right for you to make it a viable bird.
I think that when those things go right, though,
it can be
better.
It can be better. But I feel like I would rather just take the known Whooping Crane quantity that I can play this bird. I can have it at the start of the game, and I can play it any time during my game, and just know that I have the Whooping Crane there. The Great Egret, I could just start with the Great Egret and still try to draw into something that I want to play the entire game and still miss the entire game. So
you could also miss on your bonus card.
You could miss on a bonus card. I feel like it's a little less likely. This is still going to end up being like a 10-point bird usually. 10 to 13.
All right.
Anyways, let's go to the tiebreaker. and see what he has to say.
All right, welcome back, Dad. You know the drill by now, or should I say, you know the grilch by now. Have a look at these cards. You tell me which one you would prefer.
I must say it's kind of funny that I'm getting all the white cards. As you know, that's my favorite thing to play. So anyway, I just thought I'd say that.
I don't even think we planned that. Like we just like picked a side of the board randomly for you. But yeah, you are known as the person who plays too many no power cards.
Right. Oh wow, this is a tough one. It's a really tough one. They both have a way of getting some extra points, possibly. The green egret, you get another card. You get to play a second bird right away, so that could give you an advantage. But then the whooping crane, you get a second bonus card. And bonus cards can be very, good depending on what you've already played and when you get them. And I'm going to say that in this case, the whooping crane is the one that I'm going to go with. Because I do like the idea of drawing another bonus card, because it's hard with the beginning bonus card. It's good to get as many bonus cards, I think, as you can, because you can gain a lot of points that way. So I'm going to go with the whooping crane on this one.
All right, I'm gonna need my $200 back because you chose the wrong one.
Did Jake finally get one?
Yes, Jake finally got one. All right, thank you so much for breaking the tie and breaking my winning streak.
It was very close.
Number one.
All right, let's move on.
Crane.
Let's not talk about this ever again. Red Knot versus North Island Brown Kiwi. I don't know, why don't you give me the lowdown on your comparison between these two?
Yeah, so we got North Island Brown Kiwi. We've already discussed it. Nice nest type, nice wingspan. So it's pretty flexible in that sense. It also can be played in the row that I want to be playing these in, which is the middle row. And even if I'm not doing a top row strategy, I can throw it up there as well. Red Knot, I don't dislike the Red Knot. I didn't pick it last round, and I just didn't like its flexibility. I do like the fact that it draws me 3 cards along with the bonus card that I'm getting. The downside, I can only play it in the bottom row, so again, I'm missing that flexibility.
And the other big downside is it's just one bonus card.
Yeah, the one bonus card is
very easy to miss.
But then you got the downside to the North Island Kiwi that I have to discard one of my bonus cards, which
it could be an upside though.
It could be an upside, I guess, but most of the time, I guess I'm thinking it's more of a downside.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're both like they aren't your favorite things if you just want to get a good bonus card. But for me, it's the Kiwi, I think.
I'm also on the side of the Kiwi. Again, I'm pushed over the top by the nest type and by the wingspan and the fact that I can play it in the middle row.
Yeah, I like the middle row, and this is just, it's more points than the last thing we were talking about. So for me, that's enough. Plus, I do think that discarding 1, drawing 4, keeping 2, I think that's going to get you better bonus cards in the long run than the Red Knots just
definitely possible, yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're in agreement here again. Monty moves on to the whatever part we're at. Eagle Eat 8?
Yep. All right, and we have to pick it right back up again because it's that versus the whooping crane. Yeah, you just heard us talk all about these. I don't think we need to go into the details. For me, the big difference between these is there's 2 big differences: where they can be played and whether you value 2 bonus cards, keep 1, or discard and draw.
Well, you also got to mention the nest type.
Nest type, yeah.
That's meeting any bonus. So
in the wingspan, yeah.
Bonus and wingspan. I mean, to me, this isn't a competition. I like the whooping crane's a solid bird. Very good card to be playing. Easy to play, but all the extra that this North Island, all this extra that the Monty provides you, just pushes it over the top for me. And honestly, I didn't think I was going to be putting this bird in the final 4, but. I'm doing it. I don't know if you are as well, if you're on board with me on that.
I think I agree with you on this pick. For me, I was actually expecting a great egret in my final 4.
Yeah, I can't. I can't support it. I'm sorry.
But yeah, no, I agree with you on this pick that the North Island Brown Kiwi. I think it's closer than you're making it out to be, but I do think that it edges it out just for all the little bonuses.
No, they're both good birds. But again, yeah, all those extras that the North Island Brown Kiwi has pushes it into the final 4. In my opinion and in your opinion. So,
all right, so there you go.
To the final 4. Welcome to the F word.
And that will be the end of this video then, huh?
I think that wraps it up.
That was way shorter than the last one.
It was.
Even though the bird with the longest name in the game is getting to the final fours. That's the most writing we've had to do. So you would expect it to be a longer episode.
Yep, but that wraps up the white and brown powers. So join us next time. Who knows when it will be, but join us next time when we go over. We're going to move straight down. That's right.
Yeah.
We agreed on it earlier.
Agreed on this. We're going to do those before
straight
random.
down. We're going to do the yellow, pink, and blue powers next. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see. We'll be 3/4 of the way done after the next video. Right now, we're halfway done. Join us next time when we...
2/5, aren't we? Are we doing the mute swan thing again?
Doing our classic sign-off.
Grilled.
Grilled.